Hello and welcome to our webinar, What's Cooking? I'm Annie Bostrom, Senior Editor in Adult Books at Booklist. Before we begin, I'd like to go over some technical details. Links to today's slide presentation and title lists were included in the reminder email you received from Zoom an hour ago. To download them, please open that email, scroll to the bottom, and click on the links located there. You can also download the slides and title list by copying the URLs on this screen into your browser. If you have any trouble accessing these materials, please contact us at webinars@booklistonline.com. The audience is in listen-only mode today, but we welcome any questions you may have. On the bottom of your screen is a toolbar with a section for Q&A. If you have a question or need technical assistance, simply click Q&A and type your message into the box that appears. We will do our best to respond to all tech-related questions and will pass along all other questions to today's panelists so they can follow up with you after the webinar. Last but not least, Booklist offers closed captioning on all webinars. To enable or disable captions on your screen, please look for and click the live transcript icon on the toolbar mentioned earlier. From there, you can select show or hide subtitles from the menu that appears. If you choose to enable subtitles, you can adjust the size of the captions at any time by selecting subtitle settings. Today we have the pleasure of hearing from Annie Mazes, Associate Director in Library and Academic Marketing at Workman Publishing, Miriam Tullio, Senior Library Marketing Manager at Penguin Random House, Charnel Johnson, Library Marketing Manager at Penguin Random House, and Bobbi Newman, librarian and author of Fostering Wellness in the Workplace, a Handbook for Libraries from ALA Editions. First, we'll hear from Annie Mazes. Annie is the Associate Director of Library and Academic Marketing at Hachette with a focus on the Workman Publishing titles. She also heads up the ALMA, the Adult Library Marketing Association Committee. Some favorite titles include The Orphan Master's Son and Lady Pancake and Sir French Toast. Welcome, Annie.
Thank you, Annie. Oh, I forgot I had a background on. Welcome to my Association of Rural and Small Libraries booth. Hello, and thank you for being here today. I appreciate your time. I am going to be talking about a number of cookbooks. I wish that we had cookbook webinars all the time because this is one of my favorites. If you do have any questions, though, please feel free to reach out. My email address is right there. First up, I'm going to be talking about recent biggies. Green Fire by Francis Mallmann. Francis Mallmann is an Argentinian grill master. He is the author of Seven Fires and Mallmann on Fire. He's known for his primal style of live fire meat cookery, but now he is focusing on vegetables. Francis Mallmann's belief is that vegetarian heavy eating is the wave of the future. I mean, I know it's very prominent now, but he really believes that this is where the trend that more and more culinary people are going to be going. So he has perfected his grilling technique for vegetables and fruits and has created dishes with the same elemental rugged style that he is world renowned for in the meat world. Is that a thing, the meat world? Whether slathered, seared, baked, blackened, or fried over the flames, Mallmann's fire-cooked vegetables are full of flavor and personality. There are desserts and cocktails in this also, and it is beautifully photographed throughout. Cooking alla Judea is the ultimate tribute to the wonderfully rich, yet still largely unknown culinary heritage of the Jewish people of Italy. From Roman deep-fried artichokes to Venetian sweet and sour sardines, Orchette pasta and Sicilian campanata, some of Italy's best-known dishes are actually Jewish in origin. With a collection of kosher recipes from all regions of Italy, this is the story of how Jewish people changed Italian food. Highlighted throughout the book are menus with regional Italian specialties, along with short guides to the Italian cities with Jewish heritage. And plant-based India. During his medical training, Dr. Shukla discovered the power of plant-based nutrition to prevent and manage chronic illness, and so began his mission to reinvent the classic vegetarian dishes of his heritage. Plant-based India presents over 100 completely vegan recipes for shak, dal, roti, bhat, and more that utilize fresh, healthy produce to capture the indelible flavors of India. Stunning photographs throughout this book as well. Mostly, pretty much all of our cookbooks have stunning photographs throughout. Next up, We have some single subject titles. How to Eat More Plants is a fact-based guide to plant eating, explaining why a diverse diet is the key to better gut health, and has over 80 plant-packed recipes from the award-winning gut health doctor and author of Love Your Gut. Tomato Love is a mouthwatering collection of recipes for tomato lovers, featuring a combination of familiar favorites and new flavor combinations, with a photograph of every recipe and options for using either fresh picked or canned tomatoes for year-long enjoyment. I know tomato season is just sort of over, so if you have any sort of lying around, this could really help figure out new ways to use them if they're a little slightly squishy, like mine are. Beef It Up. In this beef-centric cookbook, popular blogger Jessica Formicola features 50 juicy, budget-friendly recipes that are sure to become family favorites, from soups, salads, and casseroles to the most delicious burgers and perfectly done steaks. And a personal favorite, because who doesn't love noodles, That Noodle Life. The pleasure and joy of a bowl full of noodles. There are 75 simple yet intensely flavored recipes for noodles of all types, from Kung Pao noodles to parpadel with rich pork ragu, from traditional ramen to kimchi mac and cheese, by the award-winning writers of I Am a Food blog. Next up, we're going to be talking about books that are hitting the shelves this fall. Meals That Heals, from the author of Meals That Heal, an anti-inflammatory cookbook with quick 15-minute recipes for your Instant Pot, air fryer, sheet pan, and more, including science-based information on reducing inflammation and preventing or reversing disease through healthy eating. Oh, I meant, I left out the most important. One pot. Meals That Heal, one pot. So keep those dishes down. Next up, we have Cooking with Mushrooms. In her extraordinary first cookbook, Andrea Gentle brings to her subject equal parts knowledge and technique. Cooking with Mushrooms expands our ideas of how to use mushrooms as both food and a flavor, a seasoning, and the star of the meal. Recipes like soupy eggs with chanterelles, mushroom larb, mushroom ragu, or roast chicken with miso mushroom butter, even maple mushroom ice cream. There are nearly 100 recipes that unlock the powerful flavors and health-giving properties of this magical ingredient. Next up is Ghetto Gastro. I just got a copy of this book, and it is stunning. Everything about it is beautiful. The end papers, the interior art, it's so much more than a cookbook. Ghetto Gastro is a Bronx-based creative and culinary collective, delivers a highly visual manifesto for living and eating to stimulate the mind, body, and heart, and it promotes Black excellence through recipes, art, and thought-provoking text. Black Power Kitchen provides readers with 75 recipes, the majority of which are plant-based, more than 150 photographs, and thought-provoking contributions on topics ranging from the work of Black mothers to the importance of resistance and rebellion. This is a powerful introductory book from important voices in the food and design world. Next is The Miracle of Salt, which is amazing and beautiful and sad because I can't cook anything in this book. I'm supposed to not eat salt anymore, but whatever. It is from James Beard, award-winning author Naomi Dogood. She takes the same approach that she did as researcher, storyteller, and chef that garnered praise and fandom for her previous books, Burma and Taste of Persia. But this time she focuses on the world's single most important food ingredient. Through stories, instructions, and over 100 recipes, Dogood illuminates the many foods born from the power of salt and offers home-friendly recipes that highlight the nuances of the flavor. Next up is Twist on Tofu. Award-winning cookbook author Corinne Trang shows off tofu's versatility with 52 fresh and appealing recipes ranging from tofu versions of French fries, wings, tacos, to hearty chili, quiches, curry. There are even sweet treats like mocha brownies. Next, we have Cooking with Whey. Popular cheesemaking author Claudia Lucero shares 60 creative recipes for using whey, the nutrient-rich byproduct that too often goes to waste in making of cheese, yogurt, and kefir. Next, we have Vegan Africa. Oh, I'm just kidding you. Noma 2.0. Noma is about true seasonality. This book is a bit of a higher price point, but I would be remiss to not include it because it is by Rene Redzepi and his co-workers. Rene Redzepi has been named one of the best chef in the world multiple times in the last few years. Noma has been the best restaurant in the world, like 5 out of the last 8 years. So it seemed like a thing to include. But this book focuses on true seasonality, from wild game in the fall to just picked peas in the summer. It has over 200 dishes. They're each beautifully photographed, detailed. Definitely a book if you are more experienced chef, but really amazing. Next up, we have Vegan Africa. This authentically African plant-based cooking cookbook has 70 irresistible recipes that take readers on a journey across the continent from Ghana to Ethiopia, Nigeria to South Africa. It shines a spotlight on superfoods like cacao, garlic, ginger, and sweet potato that make recipes mouthwatering and packed with vital nutrients. And now some forthcoming titles coming out in the winter months. First, we have The Brain Health Kitchen. The foods we choose to eat or not sit at the core of the Alzheimer's epidemic. In The Brain Health Kitchen, readers will learn exactly how making the right choices about the foods we select and cook and how we eat them can keep our brains younger, sharper, more vibrant, and much less prone to dementia. From caramelized apple and quinoa pancakes for breakfast to mushroom and white bean soca for lunch to dinners like miso glazed cod with rice and gingery green beans, marinated steak with warm kale salad and sweet potatoes. I didn't have lunch, and that's sad because now I want to eat all of the things. Here are dishes that are delicious and have health boosting effects. Annie Fenn spent 20 years as a practicing physician before focusing her career as a chef and educator. The intersection of her two areas of expertise, medicine and food, lends her a unique authority on both topics. Next is On the Curry Trail. Beloved and award-winning cookbook author and instructor Raghavan Iyer explores the origin of curry across the globe, from Asia and Africa through Europe, Australia, and the Americas in 50 recipes. How curry has traveled and how it has evolved to become a key part of so many local cuisines, plus history, lore, remembrances, and full-color illustrations. More Than Cake. In her award-winning stunning debut, well, it's not award-winning, sorry. In her stunning debut cookbook, Natasha Pikowitz shares her singular perspective, how her ideas and recipes are inspired by her love of nature and art. Her background in music and literature, her Chinese and California heritage, her love of fruit, her adventurous combinations of flavor like uzu and olive oil, rosewater and mezcal, azuki bean and brown butter, and literally hundreds of invaluable tips that could come only from an obsessive, self-taught pastry chef. It's a new dessert Bible filled out not just with recipes for everything from cookies to layer cakes to panna cotta, but with the inspiration to make baking and sharing a real part of every reader's life. Next is Cucina Povera. Tuscan native and accomplished home cook, Giulia Scarpaleggia, first cookbook in English, shares the recipes of Cucina Povera, Italian peasant cooking. The food is wholesome, comforting, and nostalgic, yet a very relevant way of eating today equals parts thrifty, nourishing, and delicious. In 100 recipes, beautifully photographed, Cucina Povera shows how to take the humblest of ingredients, beans and lentils, lesser-known cuts of meat, small bony local fish, vegetables from the garden, rice and pasta, and make magic. Next, Chop Chop Family Cookbook. This colorful, easy to follow beginner cookbook from Chop Chop Family Magazine, a James Beard Award-winning publication with a mission to get families to cook real food together, features more than 150 recipes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Specially designed to appeal to both adult and kids in budget and time-strapped families, the recipe includes favorites like overnight oatmeal, double vegetable fried rice, free-form lasagna, and one ingredient banana ice cream, along with simple cooking and meal prep instructions. And finally, I'm going to add with some food adjacent titles. Freeze Fresh is an in-depth guide to the easiest and most economical way to preserve homegrown or locally grown produce. Techniques and tips for freezing more than 55 popular fruits and vegetables are featured along with 100 recipes. So there you go, you've got a cookbook that both freeze well and use previously frozen produce to best advantage. Our Fermented Lives is from food historian and fermentation expert Julia Skinner. She takes a deep dive into the fascinating cultural history of fermented foods, examining how bread, coffee, tea, alcoholic drinks, vinegars, fermented vegetables, herbs, and spices were first introduced and their inextricable connection to the evolution of human health, food tastes, and preservation techniques. Urban foraging has become incredibly popular during the last few years. This is a stylish, scrumptious guide to wildcrafting in the city. You'll learn how to find, identify, harvest, and cook with 50 common wild plants like chickweed, dandelion, echinacea, honeysuckle. Urban foraging is by expert forager Lisa Rose. She shares all the basics necessary for successful foraging, clear photos that help identify during harvest, tips for ethical and safe gathering, details on culinary use, and there are simple recipes that will help you make fresh, nutritious food. And finally, Fatty Fatty Boom Boom. You might be familiar with Rabia Chowdhury as the co-host of Undisclosed, the world's most popular wrongful conviction podcast in the world. She has been around very recently because of her involvement in freeing Adnan. She has helped exonerate nearly a dozen wrongfully accused defendants. Now she turns her incredibly intelligent, piercing gaze at herself and a memoir about food image or body image and food. She grew up in a loving but sometimes oppressively concerned Pakistani immigrant family. Fatty Fatty Boom Boom was her nickname as a child. So that sort of gives you some context. She was mercilessly teased by uncles and cousins about her weight. And in this love letter, which does include recipes to Pakistani cuisine and an often hilariously dissection of life in a Muslim immigrant family, it's a searingly honest portrait of a woman's grappling with body that gets the job done but refuses to meet the expectations of others. Chowdhury's memoir offers readers a relatable and powerful voice that dispenses with the politics and gets to what every woman who has ever struggled with weight will relate to. That is it for me. Thank you so much for being here and for taking the time to listen. And if you do have any questions, please reach out.
Thank you so much, Annie. We'll now hear from Miriam Tullio and Charnel Johnson. Miriam is a senior library marketing manager at Penguin Random House, a New York Public Library veteran, and an adjunct library science instructor at Queens College and Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis. And Charnel is a library marketing manager for Penguin Random House. When she's not patiently waiting for fall TV to come back, you can find her reading with her 3-year-old or listening to audiobooks that are more than likely romantic comedies. Thanks for being here, Miriam and Charnel. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Charnel from Penguin Random House Library Marketing Team, here with my colleague Miriam, and we're so happy to be presenting these mouthwatering cookbooks to all of you. Next slide, please. Following up on her popular cookbook, Five Marys Ranch Raised, Mary Heffernan reveals family life on the ranch through the traditions, crafts, and meals they share together throughout the year. Arranged around 17 themed menus for favorite family events and activities, Five Marys family style takes the reader on a journey through the seasons and customs that drive life on the ranch. Readers will discover the Heffernan family's Thanksgiving and Christmas traditions, menus for cozy fireside dinner, a summer cookout, a pack-ahead picnic, or an end-of-the-week taco fiesta featuring more than 75 rustic and hearty recipes. Sprinkled throughout the book are simple, crafty DIY projects that Mary and her 4 daughters have fun making together, including indigo-dyed tea towels, flower-filled holiday table runners, and hand-rolled beeswax candles. Along the way, Mary shares stories of life on the ranch, as well as the faithful traditions and strong connections she maintains with her extended family. Lush photography captures the expansive beauty of the ranch, the animals, and of course, Mary and her beloved husband and ranching co-partner, Brian. Next slide. Up next is a collection of 5-star bread and pastry recipes and a tale of adventure from an iconic East Coast bakery. A good loaf of bread has the power to bring and keep people together wherever they may be. In a journey that started in Belgrade amid the beginnings of war and continued in America, 4 friends tested this philosophy to the extreme. They began a new life and opened a tiny bakery together on Cape Cod. Working hectic 24-hour days while living all together in a loft above their business and making it all up as they went along, the founders of Pain d'Avignon quickly became one of the first highly acclaimed purveyors of artisanal bread in the Northeast. For 30 years, Pain d'Avignon has been pursuing excellence in the art of bread baking, inspired by the old world methods, while partnering with New York's top chefs to bring five-star bread to our everyday life. As a baker who had an unorthodox bread education, Ulix Femio has learned over time that practice and patience are the most important parts of the journey, and here he shares this important lesson with home bakers everywhere while giving them an accessible step-by-step primer on mastering the fundamentals with 60 recipes, including their iconic Cape Cod-inspired cranberry and pecan bread, classic sourdough, thyme baguette with a touch of lemon. The Pain d'Avignon Baking Book is a tried and true collection of must-make breads and pastries with extraordinary and immersive storytelling. It is a celebration of bread, of perseverance, and of baking with heart and purpose. Next slide. And here we have 1,800 foolproof recipes from 23 years of the hit America's Test Kitchen TV show captured in one volume. The complete America's Test Kitchen TV show cookbook is a living archive of every recipe that has ever been aired on every recipe of public television's top-rated cooking show, including the new season that debuts in January of 2023. It also includes the top-rated equipment and ingredients from the new testing and tasting segments. Cook along with Bridget and Julia and the Test Kitchen chefs as the new episodes air with all new recipes. Every recipe has appeared on the show, and it is in every recipe that has appeared on this show is in the cookbook, along with Test Kitchen's indispensable notes and tips. A comprehensive shopping guide shows readers what products the ATK reviews team recommends, and it alone is worth the price of the book. Next slide. Apricot Lane Farms is a beautiful book full of seasonally inspired food with more than 130 recipes from the chef, farmer, and star of The Biggest Little Farm. More than 10 years ago, Chef Molly Chester and her filmmaker husband left their urban LA life to purchase a neglected piece of land northwest of the city in hopes of creating a more delicious and purposeful life. With a passion for regenerative biodynamic farming, but a big learning curve to overcome, they threw themselves into the daunting task of revitalizing the land, which had been decimated by drought and pesticides. Today, they steward 234 thriving acres of gardens, animal pastures, habitat corridors, and orchards, including their abundant fruit basket, a lush tapestry of landscape that provides 75 different varieties of fruit trees. Chester and her husband's gentle, slow, and unconventional approach has inspired other farmers and was the subject of the 2019 award-winning documentary, The Biggest Little Farm. This debut cookbook brings the bounty of the farm to readers' kitchens. As a chef who has long understood that flavor and healthy food go hand in hand, Chester is passionate about farm-fresh ingredients, and her cooking celebrates the tree-ripened fruits, seasonal vegetables, pastured eggs, and grass-fed meats for which the farm is known for. With sections divided by season and insider tips for sourcing the best produce, this is a must-have cookbook for home cooks looking for inspiration for their farmers, market halls, and anyone looking to create a closer connection to their food. With enticing preserved end-of-summer treasures like tomato raisins, comforting dinners like slow-roasted pastured chicken with lemon fennel crust, and bright, luscious salads like avocado and cara orange salad with jalapeno and sesame miso dressing. These nourishing recipes are a delicious guide to eating in connection with the land. Next slide.
And now we have The Walks of Life, Recipes to Know and Love from a Chinese American Family. Founded in 2013, The Walks of Life began as a quest to document one family's history through food and has become the most popular online resource for Chinese cooking in English, recording generations of recipes for millions of home cooks. Bill, Judy, Sarah, and Caitlin Leung have been featured on PBS, the Magnolia Network, the Food Network, and Good Morning America. And in their first cookbook, you'll find a compendium of accessible and essential Chinese recipes, from chicken curry puffs and dan dan noodles to oil crackling shrimp and salt and pepper fried oyster mushrooms. There are also helpful tips and tricks throughout, including an elaborate rundown of the Chinese pantry, as well as essential tools. In The Walks of Life, you'll find an inspirational chorus of voices and trustworthy recipes that will become part of your family story too. And next we have Cook as You Are, Recipes for Real Life, Hungry Cooks, and Messy Kitchens. From last-minute inspiration for feeding an entire family to satisfying meals for just one person, easy one-pot dinners to no-chop recipes, in these pages, former Great British Bake Off contestant Ruby Tendo shares a feast of homey, globally inspired dishes, including carrot, lemon, and tahini soup, soba noodles with black beans and broccoli, crisp brown butter beans with garlic yogurt and spiced tomato sauce, rosemary baby buns, and lemon mochi squares. This beautifully illustrated cookbook, which features an inspiring collection of delectable and doable recipes for home cooks of all kinds, has already received great praise. Nigella Lawson calls it not simply a recipe book, but a warm invitation to relax into and enjoy the experience of cooking and eating. And webinar registrants today can enter to win a copy of Cook as You Are by following the link on this slide. Our next book is a veritable love letter to dessert by the New York Times bestselling author of Dessert Person and the YouTube sensation Claire Saffis. Here she returns with 100 recipes for all dessert people, whether you're into impressive yet easy molten lava cakes, decadent chestnut brownies, or comforting rice pudding. In What's for Dessert, she shares recipes for icebox cakes, pies, custards, cobblers, cookies, and more, all crafted to be as streamlined as possible. And to keep the recipe straightforward and simple, Claire makes sure that each recipe is extra efficient while offering warm and encouraging advice. Our next title is for home cooks and fans of Skinny Taste, One and Done, Martha Stewart's One Pot, and America's Test Kitchen, One Pot, One Pan Wonders. Good housekeeping one pot magic will transform your weeknight cooking routine with satisfying recipes such as air fryer roasted cauliflower tacos, casserole and sheet pan stuffed shells, Dutch oven Guinness beef stew, instant pot pho with chicken, slow cooker barbecue curried butternut stew. And in this case, convenience is always key. These one-pot recipes come with variations, meal prep ideas, cooking shortcuts, and other useful time-saving tips. Additionally, recipes are labeled as vegan, quick and easy, that is ready in under 30 minutes, and family friendly. Our next book is Smitten Kitchen Keepers, the long-awaited new book from the best-selling author of the Smitten Kitchen Cookbook and Smitten Kitchen Every Day. Here in her third book, Deb Perlman gives us 100 recipes that aim to make shopping easier, preparation more practical and enjoyable, and food more reliably delicious for the home cook. What's a keeper? A full crunch cucumber salad, a tomato and corn cobbler, a slow roasted chicken, an epic deep dish broccoli cheddar quiche, and butterscotched apple crisp. Smitten Kitchen Keepers features the fail-safe, satisfying recipes you'll rely on for years to come, from Perelman's Forever Files to yours.
Next, we have the Sustainable Mediterranean Diet Cookbook, which has mouthwatering, budget-friendly recipes that are good for you and good for the earth. Following their best-selling 30-minute Mediterranean Diet Cookbook and Easy Everyday Mediterranean Diet Cookbook, food-loving dietitians and culinary instructors Serena Ball and Deanna Seagrave Daly are back serving up delicious climate cuisine with a Mediterranean spin. This is a comprehensive guide to getting the most from this incredible regimen, with 10 steps to a more eco-friendly kitchen, including helpful guidance on more sustainable ingredient choices, energy-saving cooking methods, smarter storage, and food waste reduction. If you can't do all 10, don't worry. Making even a few of these small changes can add up to a big impact on the health of the planet. And some of the recipes include tahini swirl yogurt parfait with grapes, falafel with pickled herb spread, and baklava frozen yogurt bark. Next slide. Healthy Drinks is your one-stop guidebook to healthy hydration with 160 recipes for expense-saving, sugar-sparing, all-natural beverages. It captures the test kitchens, discoveries, and best techniques for juicing, brewing, smoothie making, fermenting, and more. You'll appreciate knowing why their blends work and what each ingredient brings to the table. Try lemongrass and star fruit infused water and tepache, a flavorful fermented drink made from the rind of a pineapple. Ferment the best kombucha, kefir, goodness gracious, sorry, and tepache you've ever had. Make healthier DIY versions of beverages like V8 and Gatorade. Up your alcohol-free game with homemade low-sugar soda and seltzer made from fresh fruits and herbs. Mix your own loose tea blends using elderberries, lemon balm, and more. Infuse coffees with fresh ingredients such as star anise and orange. Steep and simmer drinks like hot chocolate and switchel. Try unbelievably good juice combos such as parsnip and pears or sweet corn and blueberries. Buy the best blender, juicer, or seltzer maker and use it with confidence based on ATK's reviews and tips. Next slide. This book, Don't Panic, is the book that seeks to answer the eternal question, what am I supposed to eat? Here, the chef and writer Noah Gallatin, host of the charmingly self-deprecating YouTube series Don't Panic Pantry, serves up convenient, healthily delicious, and mostly vegetarian comfort food, teaching you how to prepare meals and snacks you're genuinely excited to eat. As the world changes around us, we are constantly dithering between two different versions of ourselves. The ones who want to be healthier and the ones who want to be excited or comforted by the food that we eat. We all want to eat better, but what does that mean? This book is here to say, don't panic. Don't panic about learning how to cook or environmental sustainability or nutrition. Don't panic about what to make for breakfast or dinner, because Noah has your back. In Noah's kitchen, trying really matters, perfection is overrated, and better is good enough. There are recipes for chef salad with cheddar croutons and probiotic ranch, and 3 versions of broccoli pasta, one that's vegetarian, pescatarian, or with rosemary infused sausage that you will put on a weekly rotation. There's also a miso roast chicken with vegetables that you can prep in advance and leave in the fridge for several hours or even a day, that makes dinner for your entire family using a single sheet pan. Here are your pantry staples for the future to help you make cooking at home tastier and more convenient. Don't panic option. Next slide. This is a joyous cookbook full of gratitude, positivity, and 80+ Southern-inspired comfort foods from the culinary sweetheart and blogger behind Grandbaby Cakes. Jocelyn Delk Adams believes every day deserves to be celebrated, from seemingly mundane weekdays to exuberant weekends and holidays. Her approachable take on comfort food features Southern-steeped recipes that are jazzed up, remixed classics, all sprinkled with the vibrant, colorful personality she's best known for. Each flavor-packed recipe suggests a reason to celebrate, a reminder that events big and small can have a culinary gratitude. Try the Georgia peach salad with candied pecans and cornbread croutons on that perfect summer day, or the mojito marinated skirt steak with chimichurri for a backyard date. Everyday Grand shows readers how to cultivate their inner joy through affirmations, thankfulness, and most important, ridiculously good food. Next slide. The Witcher official cookbook has 80 mouthwatering and restorative recipes inspired by the best-selling video game series, The Witcher. From hearty tavern fare to fortifying drinks to lavish banquets for feasts with friends. These dishes celebrate local and seasonal ingredients while adding unique twists that form a culinary map of the continent and beyond. Transport your kitchen to another world with the tempting scents and flavors of the Witcher official cookbook. And then we have the Castle Rock Kitchen, which is based on Stephen King's Maine. So there are dishes from all of his books. One being Dog Days French Toast, which is based on Cujo, One-Handed Frittata, which is based on Under the Dome, and Blue Plate Special from November 22nd, 1963. And there is also a foreword from Stephen King. Next slide.
Now we have an A to Z of pasta by the award-winning British food writer Rachel Roddy. This is perfect for home cooks interested in learning more about Italian food history and those wishing to elevate their pasta making. Having lived and cooked in Rome for almost 2 decades, Rachel has browsed bucolic Italian markets, cooked with fresh and seasonal vegetables, discovered cheeses, and perfected the art of making Italy's favorite food, pasta. In this cookbook, she shares the many ways to pair pasta, shapes with sauces, how to make certain pastas from scratch, and how to best serve them, from sausage mint and tomato cavatelli, and bucatini with cauliflower, saffron, and anchovies, to weeknight pasta and a bolognese-style lasagna. Here, too, are short essays that weave together the history, culture, and the astonishing variety of pasta shapes from the tip to the toe of Italy, featuring the familiar favorites, pesto, ragu, and carbonara, and new twists on classics, as well as tricks and techniques for maximum flavor. An A to Z of pasta is a glorious celebration of pasta and an excellent addition to any kitchen. Our next title is Love and Lemons, Simple Feel-Good Food, 125 plant-focused meals to enjoy now or make ahead. Over the years, Janine D'Onofrio's wildly popular Love and Lemons recipes have become the go-to gold standard for simple, flavorful, and nourishing vegetarian meals. And Love and Lemons, Simple Feel-Good Food is a treasure trove of inspiring and easy ways to get delicious food on the table. This cookbook features plant-forward recipes for Eat the Rainbow Blender soups, a mix and match tahini cookie section, satisfying grain bowls, and 3-in-1 recipes, that is 3 dinner dishes to make with 1 whole vegetable. Each chapter, breakfasts, salads, soups, and stews, dinners, and desserts, is divided into 2 parts, one for recipes you can make with minimal prep, and the second for food you can prepare ahead of time, such as the perfect lasagna and packable salads. Additionally, every recipe is supplemented by D'Onofrio's signature infographics, which offer easy visuals on how to reuse, mix, and match ingredients for fresh, must-eat dishes. Our next book is That Cheese Plate That Wants to Party, from the best-selling author of That Cheese Plate Will Change Your Life. It's time to party. After lockdowns and distancing, spending time together is more precious than ever. Where Marissa Mullen's first book focused on self-care and creativity, her new book is about communal care and the importance of connection around food, featuring 40 new cheese boards for parties of all kinds and platters themed around holidays and special events, to dishes like gooey fontina dip and lush buffalo mozzarella caprese, and clever creations like the Thanksgiving charcuterie and birthday cheesecake. These communal meals celebrate the way we connect with each other and take cheese boards from a dish to a lifestyle. Next, please. And we have many more delicious fall cookbooks to share, including selections from Yotam Ottolenghi, Ina Garten, Nadia Hussein, and Bobbi Flay. And we encourage you to visit the tiny URL on the bottom of this slide for more information. Next, please. And we also hope that you'll join us for the next Library Lunch and Learn episode, which will focus on cookbook and culinary stories, featuring author Alex Prudhomme and public librarian Rebecca Fetterman. That will be happening October 13th. Next slide, please. And we invite you to many other virtual events, including our next morning book buzz, the AAPI Communities and Conversations event with Wei-Ki Wang and Lalita Nataraj of California State University San Marcos. We also have the Library Journal Day of Dialogue on October 20th, as well as the Winter 2022 Virtual Book and Author Festival on December 8th. Next slide, please. And certainly for more information about all the titles that we shared today on this webinar and to request e-galleys, please visit the tiny URL on this page. And lastly, thank you all for joining us today. We appreciate all that you do to support our authors and books and readers and cooks everywhere. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. You too, Miriam, and thank you so much, Charnel. And now we'll shift from a healthy stomach to a healthy work culture with a special presentation from Bobbi Newman, author of Fostering Wellness in the Workplace, a Handbook for Libraries from ALA Editions.
First, I'd like to thank Grace and the other ALA staff members for inviting me here to talk about fostering wellness in the workplace, a guide for libraries, and for making this webinar possible. I also want to express appreciation for the staff at ALA Editions who helped bring this book out of my mind and into the world. Everyone there is really wonderful to work with. I can't recommend them enough. Before I talk about what's included in the book, I want to talk a little bit about how the book came to be, because how did a librarian end up writing about wellness in the workplace? Well, it started about 6 years ago. For my job at the network of the National Library of Medicine, I was attending a lot of state and national conferences, and I saw a reoccurring theme in presentations I attended, and those presentations were talking about the health and wellness of library staff, talking about things like how do we recover from compassion fatigue, how do we recover from burnout, and this was really alarming to me, and I thought one way I could help library staff is to develop a class focused on wellness for librarians. And I began doing the research of this class and kind of put it together. It's a 2-week 4-credit asynchronous online class. It's still being offered. It'll be offered in November. And we partnered with the ALA Allied Professional Association to launch it in March of 2019. We've had a really great response to it over the years. I think over 1,000 people have taken it at this point. Around the same time, I also began my own wellness journey, and I started that as part of a mindfulness-based stress reduction program offered by the University of Iowa Hospitals and Clinics in the summer of 2019. And that involved weekly mindfulness retreats with other attendees in this program, as well as a day-long silent retreat at the end. And I found, I kind of went into it as a skeptic, but I found what a lot of people find when they do this, and that is if you remember to do it, it works. And so I am a firm believer in that now. In March of 2020, Twana Hodge, who wrote a chapter in the book, and I signed the contract with ALA for this book, and we thought we would have it done by August. We thought it would be a quiet summer, and we would just get it cranked out and be done. And we were very, very wrong. The book is now finally out this fall of 2022. Also, during this time in March of 2021, through my job at NLM, I also got the idea for and hosted a 3-day virtual symposium focused on library staff health and wellness. We called it Blossom for Building Lifelong Opportunities for Strength, Self-Care, Outlook, Morale, and Mindfulness. About 6,000 people registered and about 3,000 attended live. Heard from a lot of people that it was very cathartic. That was the first time they felt seen as individuals at work, that someone cared for their well-being in libraries. And so there's clearly a need for this type of information and for libraries to rethink some of their practices. So how does the book address health and wellness? First, I took a holistic approach to health, and I love this definition from the World Health Organization. Health is not a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. Health is a state of complete mental, physical, and social well-being, not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. And I like this because it takes a holistic approach to health. It's not just about our physical well-being, but it's our mental and social well-being as well. And it takes a proactive approach to health, which is not treating symptoms once we've become ill, but rather doing things to prevent illness in the first place. I also needed to carefully think about what not to include in the book. Health and wellness has become a almost $50 trillion industry. That's trillion with a T. And there are a lot of things that have attached health or wellness to the label to make them more attractive to people. And so I took a look at what the research was showing, and I picked these things to exclude. And I would also encourage anyone to exclude these from any type of workplace wellness program they're doing. The first is anything related to weight loss programs. There's just an increasing amount of research on the problems with this. First and foremost, we still measure weight and obesity using the BMI, The origins of that are racist and sexist, and it's not scientifically accurate. It's not the best indicator of health. Weight overall is not the best indicator of health. You cannot look at someone and judge by their size how healthy they are. There are other better measures out there. And weight loss programs at work can cause a whole host of issues, both individually and for your team or teams. Um, Individually, it can trigger eating disorders, disordered eating patterns. People can choose to isolate themselves from other staff members for fear of judgment based on what they're doing or eating or how they're eating. And it does encourage judgment of other staff members, and it can just really destroy the camaraderie in the office. Not to mention, most people gain back any weight they lost after a diet and then some more. So we'll talk more about other things to include, but explicitly these are excluded. Movement-based programs, these are ableist. We don't know if someone is capable of meeting movement goals or anything like that. It's just frankly none of our business. There's other ways to encourage health and wellness at work without focusing on that. Faux health and wellness, these are things that could be considered, but they probably aren't going to harm you, but there's not necessarily any benefit to them. Think of things like popular trends for diets, or drinking celery juice was a thing a while back, those kind of things. And then the last one is wellness as a commodity. And these are things that are probably fine if you want to use them and they empower you to do wellness practices like apps or other devices, but we just don't include them as part of a workplace practice. What the book does look at and explore is the research around some different aspects of our environment that can improve our health and wellness. And so I start with the physical. I think this is probably what a lot of people think about, especially ergonomics, but also explores the research related to natural light and a view of nature. And this is, I think, particularly important in libraries. Not only are staff often relegated to the back or the basement, but even new libraries are still building open office floor plans, which are not great. Also explores things related to the air, so temperature, the air quality, smells in the office, those kind of things. Aesthetics, this is things from the carpet to the paint color to outdated furniture to use of natural materials in furniture and decorations, those kind of things, and the impact they have on our health and wellness. Policies addressed first, so these are official things. Salaries is one of the most important ones. There's some data out there that not only about the salaries in libraries, but libraries, just like everyone else, have a gender gap for wages, and that gap is also larger for women who are Black, Indigenous, or people of color. Vacation and sick leave policies, how important it is to have separate pools for both of these, and the benefits of that for productivity, for performance at work, and for wellness. Similarly, things like remote work and flex time, which are really considered to be part of work-life balance, or that kind of thing that is becoming increasingly important for younger workers especially. And then the impact of diversity, equity, and inclusion on our health and wellness. I also delve into some practices that these are less policy associated and more practice associated. So emotional labor is the performance of having one emotion or feeling internally and expressing something different externally, probably to the patron that you're dealing with. And the repercussions from that. There's no way we're probably going to get away from that, but we can do things to mitigate some of the repercussions from having to perform that labor. Also explore invisible labor, which is the smaller things that happen to make the office more cohesive. So this could include things like birthday celebrations, bringing in treat, acknowledging other major life events. It also includes service on committees, mentoring newer staff members, things like that. This does generally end up being performed more by women in the workplace as well as at home. Looking at compassion fatigue and how we can mitigate damage from that, and similarly for burnout. And burnout's really important because people don't just recover from burnout in a month or a couple months. It can take years to recover from burnout. So it's really important that we enable practices that prevent people from getting there in the first place. I want to highlight Twana Hodge, who wrote the chapter on diversity, equity, and inclusion. She is currently pursuing a PhD in information studies at the University of Maryland. When we started writing the book, she was the diversity, equity, and inclusion librarian at the University of Florida. She's an ALA Spectrum Scholar and a Spectrum Doctoral Fellow. I definitely recommend her work. She's got some great things out there. She talks about cultural humility in her chapter and says, cultural humility asks of us to understand the power dynamics in relationships and situations, to explore how to center others from an asset-based approach, and to examine ourselves continually through reflection for individual to institutional growth. She also talks about how important it is, and I agree with this wholeheartedly, that our professional and work identity should not become before our individual health and well-being. It's really important we take care of ourselves as people. And DEI is a requirement for a healthy workplace. It absolutely should be part of your practices in every aspect of the library, but including wellness. So talking about how the book also explores how libraries can create healthy policies and practices and cultures. And having a culture that prioritizes staff well-being really matters, and people can tell when it makes a huge difference. Rather than taking a prescriptive approach to wellness, empowering staff to make choices that benefit them and benefit their health and wellness. If libraries don't currently have sick time and vacation time, it talks about the research and the benefits for those things and creating a separate pool. Creating a culture where employees are expected to stay home is incredibly important. The importance of mental health and acknowledging that we all have mental health struggles at times is normal. Creating a culture where lunches and breaks are taken away from the desk, and a culture where people are expected to begin and leave work on time. Work will always be there. There'll always be more work, and no working outside of scheduled time. And throughout the book, I try to stress the benefits of a healthy workplace. In particular, not just because it improves the health and wellness of staff, but it has real lasting impact on the library as well. So focusing on health and wellness holistically helps improve job satisfaction. It obviously improves employee mental and physical health. It can reduce turnover, which is a costly expense. Staff will actually have fewer sick days and less presenteeism, which is where people come to work while ill and are not really performing or productive. You'll also see an increase in performance and productivity from staff. It gives the library a positive reputation and helps improve customer satisfaction. People who feel better mentally and physically are just going to have more positive interactions with your patrons, even difficult patrons, when they feel cared for and supported by their work. So I want to say thank you, everyone, for your time and attention today. The book is available from ALA Editions and other retailers. I believe if you order from ALA Editions, you're looking at a little more quick delivery time. You can find it in the ALA store. And of course, feel free to contact me with questions or comments. I'm happy to answer or provide additional resources. Have a great day.
You too, and thank you so much, Bobbi. And a big thank you to all of today's wonderful panelists. Tomorrow, you all will receive an email containing links to today's slide presentation, title list, certificate of completion, and video recording. For more about Booklist webinars, be sure to visit booklistonline.com/webinars, where you can view archives of past webinars and register for upcoming ones like those you see here. Now you can share Booklist love with everyone connected to your school district, the library system, or higher learning institution. Booklist Online Unlimited offers just that, unlimited simultaneous access to 30 years worth of review and article archives, plus digital editions of all of Booklist publications. For pricing and other questions, visit booklistonline.com/subscribe. And have you heard Booklist Reader, our new magazine that offers reading recommendations to patrons of all ages, is coming to print this January. So go to bit.ly/Booklist Reader in print to find out how you can order print copies in bulk for your library. Already have a Booklist subscription, you can share the latest issue now. Go to our website for more details. Thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar, and one more huge thank you to our panelists and to our sponsors, Workman Publishing and Penguin Random House Library Marketing. This concludes today's webinar. See you next time.